Let's look into the open world genre today. On the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation TV, how many open world games are there? There aren't very many. The first that comes to mind for me is Borderlands 2, and Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment kind of touches on this genre, but it doesn't go really extensive in it. The main popular franchise for open world games is of course Grand Theft Auto, but the handheld world hasn't seen a new Grand Theft Auto since last generation on the DS and the PSP. So if you want to play GTA on the Vita or PlayStation TV, you have to go to the backwards compatibility library. I touched on this library a little bit in my very first month of the site back in December 2013 when I did a retro review of GTA Vice City Stories. Today we're going to continue that. So without further delay, here is my official review of Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. Several years before the events of Grand Theft Auto 3, Tony Cipriani returns to Liberty City after having gone into hiding from killing an enemy of the Leone Mafia family. As he comes back in, he interacts with a lot of characters that GTA 3 veterans will know very well as he attempts to take over the city. One thing to note about the story here is that it has a very serious tone to it. Players of Vice City Stories will note that that game had a lot of comedy and a very lighthearted tone even in serious situations. In Liberty City Stories, everything is serious, whether you're going through gang wars or going through something else. From a gameplay perspective, GTA Liberty City Stories is a 3D open-world action-adventure game with driving and shooting elements thrown into the mix. Whether you're exploring the city or on a mission, you will be going back and forth between driving cars, moving from one point to another point, as well as using weapons like katanas or firearms to take down enemies. The first thing I want to note about this game is the feat it was that when Rockstar crammed all of Liberty City into a handheld game. If you've played Grand Theft Auto 3, you will find pretty much the same map, point for point, between that PS2 game and this PSP game. There are a few minor differences in some areas because the story's a little bit different, being several years before the events of GTA 3, but this map is just as big as Liberty City was in Grand Theft Auto 3. What you can do in the game is the same as most GTA games. You can choose to go on various story missions to advance the plot and open up new areas, or you can just roam around the city and do whatever you want. Just walk up to cars, take cars, attack policemen to initiate a cop chase, go into a gun shop and go on a frenzy yourself, or you can do what you're supposed to do in the game and go through the story missions so you can see the plot unfold. The big important thing about the story is that you only have access to one of the 3 islands of Liberty City when you start the game. If you want to be able to explore everything, you're going to have to go through the story events and get to the points where you unlock and go into those new islands. Aside from this, there is also some side missions you can do. Various vehicles in various areas allow you to have certain side missions. Jump in a fire truck and you can do firefighter missions. Jump in a taxi cab and you can do taxi driver missions, and so on and so forth. Difficulty is the last thing I want to mention of as far as gameplay is concerned. If you've played GTA 3, you'll know that it wasn't a very easy game to play. Liberty City Stories is the same way. Even if you constantly use cheats over and over and over again for weapons, armor, and health, many of the missions are going to give you a very hard time regardless. Now, as far as length is concerned, the main game's story should take you at least 12-15 hours to complete. If you're not used to a GTA game, it might take you a bit longer, especially after you start tackling the harder missions. If you add all of the extra content in the side missions, you can easily burn through 20 hours, up to 30 hours through this game, aside from just being able to run around and do whatever you want. As far as how the visuals look, they don't look bad, but they don't look great either. There is a lot of detail in the world, and it is a huge world to explore. The load times are all short, but there is a little bit of a blur effect and some more jagged edges when you're looking at it stretched out on the PSTV or the PS Vita. Again, it's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. The one thing I want to touch on for performance is the biggest misconception for these games. There are a lot of people going around saying that the digital versions of these games have very bad, almost unplayable level lag. I will admit that Vice City Stories had quite a bit of lag when there was a lot on the screen, but Liberty City Stories doesn't have very much lag at all. I'm not saying the frames will never jump down if you've got 5 police stars and have got a dozen police helicopters, cruisers, FBI trucks, etc., on the screen at once. It'll dip a little bit, but it's nothing that's noteworthy. It's not going to hamper your game experience. GTA Liberty City Stories is definitely one of the largest games the PSP had to offer. On the downside, the presentation is a little blurry and the frame rate definitely isn't perfect. If you can handle these problems, then this is definitely something that any open world or GTA fan needs to get and play on the go. PlayStation Vita Reviews rates Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories an 8 out of 10. If you'd like more information on PlayStation TV compatibility like this game, or if you'd like to send me a little donation to help me with my cause, feel free to visit my site at vitareviews.net.